Tina Capeman from the RNZAF. All yours.
Thank you very much, Kiora Blenheim. So happy to be here after all this time away. And yet, what better introduction could the Royal New Zealand Air Force have than our newest training aircraft, the T6 Texan 2. Our solo pilot for this weekend is Flight Lieutenant Kendall Dransfield. Now, he's an Aussie, and as everyone knows, Aussies have nicknames, so he is affectionately known as Nugget. I will be referring to him as Nugget throughout this display. So he joined with a high-speed pass there and a dairy turn, and he's going to come back and position for another one shortly. This is an ongoing commitment we have between both air forces, so that we can support each other and better understand how our air forces work. So that half horizontal up high to the right is followed here by a tight, low turn. We always say at air shows that, hey, propeller aircraft and, smaller aircraft do this kind of tight turn sector because it's closer to the crowd. But actually, for a reasonably high performance aircraft, I think the T6 does this really well. And for those of you out there with cameras, you'll be able to get some really good shots. The first aircraft arriving here in 2015, and we commenced flying training courses, or wings courses, training our pilots on these in 2016. This is a pretty ubiquitous aircraft though. There's lots and lots of air courses around the world that fly these aircraft. The USAF, Royal Canadian Air Force, and the Israelis, and the Royal Air Force also replaced their Tucanos with the Texans. Okay, coming towards us now, and then after that one we're going to have a treble. Sounds very musical. Now, when Nugget did his practice yesterday, some of you might have been here. Unfortunately, I was stuck in traffic over in Seddon, so I didn't actually see his practice. So this is a real treat for me, getting to see him fly this display for the first time. We have been working this up for about 2.5 months, but with Masters early this year, this is his proper first official big display. So airborne shortly, and they will be doing a small couple of flypast for us this evening. A nice victory roll there from Nugget. Now, according to my commentary, it says that he's going to bid us farewell as he flies overhead and rolls upside down to wave at the crowd. So, if he's wearing his white flying gloves, anyone out there, you might be able to see his hands frantically waving. Hopefully that means the stick will be between his knees at that point.
Oh, I see ya.
Okay, so coming back towards us now, this will be the last shot for cameras for tonight, but Nugget will be back with us for the rest of the weekend. Thanks ever so much for watching our Texan display pilot, ladies and gents. Older aircraft. Some of you out there might remember that we used to have something called historic flight, and that was flown and maintained by the Air Force. We had a Tiger Moth and a Harvard aircraft. For various reasons, we have made a change to the way we do that, and we now introduced, a year and a half ago, the new heritage flight of the Royal New Zealand Air Force. And that is an incredible partnership that we have been so lucky to put together with Brendan Deere and the Wigan Hill Trust based in Omaka. Newest training aircraft, accompanied by the absolutely beautiful and iconic shape of the Spitfire Mark 9. Now, Brendan has run the Wigan Hill Trust out of a hangar on Omaka Air Base for some years. And as I said, in the last couple of years, we've managed to develop this incredible partnership with him, whereby he is looking after owning and maintaining the aircraft, and then our Air Force pilots will also take part in that, taking care of the aircraft, but also will be flying them. And he then allows us to fly them at displays so that we can teach new generations of New Zealanders about the heritage of the Royal New Zealand Air Force. Anyone out there who's tech savvy, unlike me, if you have Facebook on your phones and your devices, the RNZAF Heritage Flight does have its own Facebook page. This is the very, very first public display that the Black Falcons and the Spitfire have flown together. And I know they put a little blurb on their Facebook page about it, so anyone who's interested, go and have another look. So you can see them low and over to the right at 2 o'clock there. They'll be coming back round for one more pass, and at that point the Black Falcons are going to depart back to Woodburn. So no display from the Black Falcons this evening, but the Spitfire will split off on its own, and then Sean will do a solo Spitfire display for us. So last shot to the cameras, ladies and gents, for the Heritage Flight, the Spitfire and T6 Texan formation. It looks so easy, don't they? We've had some reports from pilots flying throughout the day that, you know, sometimes when it gets windy and gusty on the ground, it obviously can feel a little bit bumpy up there as well, but that looked pretty smooth to me. Okay, so the 5 Texans will depart to the right, back towards base Woodburn, and you can see Sean has detached from them, and he's going to be positioning himself for his first part of his...
One of them, his name's Sean.
We'll never to be outdone by a Spitfire here from the Black Falcons overhead. Just one last hurrah. Thanks to Stuart Lewis, we'll see those guys tomorrow. I quite agree.
As Bill brings the answer in, our
Training and Support Unit, PTSU, which is based at RNZAF base Auckland, Whenuapai Airfield. And they are responsible for the training of all NZDF parachute activity. There are 12 staff there at the moment, and their primary role is to train members of the NZDF in 3 parachute insertion methods. So, when we go into an area of combat, obviously there are different ways to get troops on the ground. The Herc can fly and land them, the helicopters can take them in, or we can send troops in by air. The first one of those insertion methods is, you know, with the old World War II traditional round canopies. They generally do that at around about 1,000 feet, so that's low. The next one is called high altitude, high opening, or HAHO. And that happens from a kind of a standoff position where the guys will get out of the aircraft really high and then open their parachutes and float from a long way in, so standoff. What the guys are going to do a kind of tiny bit of today is called high altitude, low opening, so HALO, and that's what we call free fall. So, what I'm looking for, as you guys are looking up at the Herc as it flies across, is for some smoke to start trailing out the back. And that will be one of our parachute display team dangling their leg out of the side of the aircraft with a smoke canister on. Hey, there we go, so a bit of purple smoke. That enables us to be able to see them. And also it means that everyone jumping out can follow their lead. So we're looking for 5 individual jumpers. And the 6th at the end is not going to join in. You see he's a little bit further away from them. He's going to be flying the flag. So, if we had a lot more time in the air under the parachutes, we'd get them all together and they'd form what we call a stack. So they'd stack up one on top of each other, really, really close, and that means they have to be a bit careful because the smoke canisters on their ankles are pretty hot, and you don't want to get that one near the canopy of the parachutist below you. So they're going to stack, but not kind of as tightly as we normally would if we had more time for this. And then the 6th parachutist will deploy the flag, and they'll fly separately down. So at the bottom of the stack there, and he's leading the display today, that's Squadron Leader Garth Magnuson. He's OC Parachute Training Squadron at the moment. And then above him in the stack, we've got Sergeants Josh Stone, Blair Patterson, Thorne Davids, and Janelle Webb. On the flag separately from them, and you'll see that flag deploy when he gets a little bit lower, is Flight Sergeant Doug King. And then in charge of the drop zone out in front of you where they've put that flag, we've got Corporal Sasha Veast. Don't they look slow when they go into wind, ladies and gents? And you'll see it really differently when they turn and they have that tailwind. It will push those parachutes forward. Now these parachutes, they act exactly like an aircraft wing does. They're called ram air parachutes. They've got effectively 2 layers of fabric with cells between them, and those cells fill up with air. So you can fly them just like you fly an aircraft wing, which means you can direct them much more easily. Round canopies, very hard to direct, but these ones you can fly. You can turn them left and right by pulling down on your steering toggles. Now, as they come in lower, you'll see each of the parachuters has those steering toggles in their hand, and they use those by pulling on them to change the shape of the canopy. So when they pull down on the left toggle, it kind of collapses the left edge of the canopy ever so slightly and changes the shape of the wing. The other thing that we use those steering toggles for is as brake lines. So parachute and the sides of the parachute will curl under and brake. So Mags is now looking to complete his run-in into wind here, and he's going to be aiming for our flag out the front there. And there he goes on his brake toggles. Oh, drags a toe as well. Nicely done, Mags. Nicely done. Great work, guys, coming in. Now, we're pretty fortunate that the wind's reasonably steady, but you can see it's quite strong, and Doug at the back there with the flag. It's a little bit of an unwieldy thing to be dragging around below you when you're coming into land, but you can see how much it slows him down in comparison to the others. So his landing run will be a bit shorter. There you go, the brakes. Whee! A round of applause. Let their parachutes up, and then they'll transit along the crowd line to the right-hand end down by the RNZAF display, which is where their wagon is. And we've got something with all its lights on high up to the left. Now, we know the Herc, it couldn't leave us without a wave goodbye, and this is my baby, ladies and gents. I love this aeroplane, so I'm always happy to see it close by. It wanted to come and do a fly past for us. Hey! C-130H model from number 40 Squadron. And they're gonna have a look-see and see if they can come around and maybe throw a touch and go at the runway. We'll have a look. We'll see. It's kind of getting quite dark, so and they haven't got their night vision goggles with them. But the guys are a lot younger than me, so their eyesight's a bit better. It looks like they're cleaning up, so hopefully we won't have to wrap up quite as warm as we did this evening. And with that, I'll say thank you ever so much, and I'll hand back to my fabulous team.
Thank you, Kate.
Excited to be here representing the New Zealand Defence Force, the Royal New Zealand Air Force, and up above we have the Airforce Heritage Flight. So those of you who were here yesterday would have seen these guys. This is their first public display ever flying together. We have 5 aircraft, the T6 Texan 2s from 14 Squadron, the Black Falcons, accompanied by the beautiful Mark 9 Spitfire flown by Sean Parrott. So we're calling this formation of aircraft the Airforce Heritage Flight. This has been generated over the last 2 years as a replacement for what used to be Historic Flight based at Omaka. And we've entered into it. It's such a fantastic sight to see those brand new training aircraft in line with the iconic shape of the Spitfire there. What's going to happen now is the Falcons are going to split off, and Sean is going to position himself for a solo Spitfire display. So while he's sorting himself out, I'll tell you a little bit about Sean, ladies and gentlemen. He joined the Royal Air Force in 1985 and trained over there on the Jet Provost and the Hawk aircraft. He was also lucky enough to have flown with the Red Arrows. So Black Falcons overhead now, they will depart and hold, and they'll be back with us for a display later on. As Sean comes around to left, and at the left-hand end will be followed by 2 wingovers, so really good photo opportunities. Those of you with eagle eyes will see that this is actually a naval helicopter. It's operated by number 6 Squadron, and they're based out of Auckland, RNZAF based Auckland at the Omaka Airfield. So it's a naval helicopter. This is maritime based. It operates off our ships. operated a fleet of 8 of these aircraft for the last 8 years. It's got a slightly different look to a ground-based helicopter in that it's got that white kind of radome under its nose, and it has special kit on board which is optimized for locating and tracking ships and surface maritime vessels, as well as sending information to any weapons teams. And it also can carry some weapons. So going around from that next wing over, the next move from the Sea Sprite will be a quick stop. Now normally this helicopter is operated by a pilot and an observer, which is like the naval word for an air warfare officer or navigator, and a loadmaster in the back. But for the purposes of the display today, we've actually got 2 pilots on board, Lieutenant Commander Matt Snazel, Sub-Lieutenant Jesse Toderin, and then 2 loadmasters in the rear, Tyson Turnbull and Michael Foster. Those guys are all from the New Zealand. Right, showing that wonderful dynamic movement that the helicopter can give us, the left and right flight. And then the pilot will be turning around and showing some reverse flight as well. Maneuverability is obviously very, very important because a lot of the time these guys are operating out in not very nice sea conditions. If they need to effectively secure a moving ship, then they need to be able to position their aircraft as closely as they can. We can't really simulate that properly on the ground for today. If you look forward into the ground centre, we do have a person out there who's going to simulate the emergency situation, and we're going to look at trying to effect a winch to rescue the animal. You probably expect there to be quite a few volunteers to go along with the practice winching, but our winch person out there today is Flight Lieutenant Samantha Mara. She is currently the adjutant at 6th Squadron, and Tyson and Mike are going to be in the aircraft as the loadmasters. So the helicopter will come round, we'll do a fly past, we'll assess the conditions down below. All the while you'll see the loadies in the doors just looking out, trying to give that pilot information about where they need to be. And we're very fortunate that today our survivor actually has a smoke flare so that they can show the helicopter where to go, and also, really importantly, show what that wind direction is, because that makes the pilot's job a whole lot easier. Okay, so you'll be able to see their doors open. Tyson, the loadie, is going to stay in the helicopter, and then Mike is going to be on the winch. So the pilots will be working hard to keep the helicopter steady, to keep them exactly on target as best they can. And the loadmaster will pick up the survivor, make sure they're safely strapped into the winch, and then both of them will lift away. So as I said, this helicopter is a naval helicopter, but it's operated at an Air Force base, number 6 Squadron at Base Auckland. There are 8 maintainers here this weekend supporting this aircraft. And the Sea Sprite maintenance team is made up of avionics technicians. I know we've got a couple of examples of that trade down in our green tents to the right crowd line. And those guys look after the physical structure of the aircraft. So aircraft techies for the physics, and then avionics techies for the electrical equipment and the sensors on board. In addition, because it does have weapons, there are also armourers who take care of those weapons. the guys are going to reposition now. According to the display schedule, what they've got is another pass-through, and this time with the landing gear out, so that'll be slightly different for the photos. A little bit of reverse flight, and then a low pass to depart. Now we're a little unfortunate that the cloud base has lowered ever so slightly. We are still planning to get Kiwi Blue, the parachute display team, out for you next. But unfortunately they're going to have to drop a little lower. So those of you with eagle eyes will see kind of high to the right near 2 o'clock. The Herc is lurking up there. No gear down on that one for me, just to fly past, okay? One is high altitude low opening, or halo, and that's more commonly known as freeform. Right, so they'll be tracking into wind here, and shortly one of the parachute display team is going to trail a leg out of the open door and turn their smoke canister on. So hopefully that will help us see them. You'll be able to see slightly purpley looking smoke. Yep, there it is, out the back. Excellent, so somebody is up there dangling their leg out in the slipstream at the moment. There are 5 members of the parachute display team up there who are going to be flying the canopies, and then there is an extra one at the back who will be flying the flag. Right, so this is where I lose them, unfortunately, because I can't see through the canopy, so keep your eyes up to the sky and let me know when they jump out. Well, there they go, excellent. So individual exits, unfortunately we can't do a group exit because it's too low for that. And let's count their canopies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Excellent. So, you can see that the leader, he was out first. He's got his smoke canisters on. They use those smoke canisters so they're obviously nice and visible to us, because it makes a pretty pattern, but also so that the guys in the stack above them can see them. They haven't got enough height to complete a full stack where each of the parachutists gets effectively directly on top of the other, but they will trail each other and follow a similar path through the sky. So leading that stack, and at the bottom of the display is Squadron Leader Garth Magnuson. He is OCPTSU. He's going to be dragging all his team into a line there so that they can assess the wind and come back around and work out their flight path. Now as these parachutes get closer, you can see that they are actually shaped like a wing, an aircraft wing, and you can fly them in exactly that same way. It's called a ram air parachute. It's effectively 2 pieces of fabric with air cells in between. And if you watch the parachutist's arms, you can see that they'll pull down on their left and right risers. And that adjusts the shape of that parachute canopy, just like an aircraft wing. So you can fly them, you can steer them. As Max comes into land, watch both of his hands come down on both risers, and he uses that to brake the parachute. Lovely work. So ladies and gents, I'm going to get you to put your hands together for the team. We've got Max in the front, and behind him Sergeants Joss Stone, Blair Pascal Webb. Bringing up the rear with the flag, and believe me, that's quite cumbersome in windy conditions. It can create quite a lot of drag there. Is Flight Sergeant Doug King. And obviously, very importantly on the ground, we've got the person running the drop zone, Corporal Sasha Beast. Nice. But I'm sure you'll all understand that actually doing our job is a bit more important. Right, now to the left, sticking up on this, the C-27J Spartan. From right to left, so a good photo opportunity. Now these aircraft are relatively new. They only arrived with the Australian Air Force in 2015. The RAAF have 10 of them, and they operate as part of the Australian Air Force's Air Mobility Group. The particular squadron that fly these is number 35 Squadron, and they're based at RAAF base Amberley, and that's just outside of Brisbane in Queensland. This aircraft's manufactured by a company called Alenia, and the role, as we said, air mobility, is light tactical airlift. It's a small crew. You've only got usually a pilot, a co-pilot, and a loadmaster on board, but it can carry up to 34 passengers in the back. Or if it's in a CASEVAC role, a casualty evacuation, it can carry 21 stretcher patients. So it looks small, but there's actually quite a lot of room in the back. As they reposition for the next manoeuvre, they're going to come past in what we call a dirty pass. And I know those of you out there have seen Hercs fly, you can see all the muck comes out the engine of those, everything's dirty about a Herc. But what we mean in this case is that it's actually going to have its landing gear down and its flaps down. So it flies through a lot more slowly, which is better for those of you with cameras. Now this particular aircraft was one of the ones involved in the cyclone relief effort, so we were really fortunate that the Aussie Airforce helped support us with that. This particular aircraft and its compatriots, the Spartans, they successfully transported nearly 40,000 pounds of cargo, 194 passengers, and made 34 flights between Napier, Ohakea, Gisborne, Wairua, Wellington and Christchurch for the tropical cyclone relief. There we go. Gear down, flap out, enables the aircraft to create that little bit more lift and fly a bit more slowly. They can actually get into shorter, slightly more tactical strips than the C-130 and the Globemaster can. Okay, right, we're looking out for the ramp and door to be open as they come through. Boys and girls, get ready to give them a big wave. And while they're coming through, I'll just let everyone in the crowd know that a brown purse has been found, and it's been handed in up here at the commentary stand. So if you find you have lost a brown purse, can you please come to the base of the commentary stand and give us a wave, and we'll return it to you. Okay, closing up their ramp and door now. They're going to come round, reposition, and this one will be the top-up path. So it'll be a good opportunity for those of you with cameras to get a shot at the top of the aircraft. Okay. From number 35 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force, a big round of applause, and thank you so much to them for joining us today.
A big pass. So the high manoeuvres, the really high loops and things like that won't be performed today, but this flat show, which the team has been practicing since October last year, is equally as pleasurable and a sight to see.
It's the one we've seen practice for the last day or two, and it's absolutely...
Think about Stu, he joined in 2005, and for his 18 years he has flown a number of aircraft within our RNZAF, the Mesa 3 Squadron, the Pursuit and the Iroquois. And during his time at 14 Squadron and Central Flying School, he's flown the Air Trainer, the Texan, also the A109, and as they are in kite formation and they're conducting the kite bend. So 4 and 5, they were on the outside of the Vic, they've tucked in and behind, and they are essentially forming what looks like a kite that you would fly in the playground or anywhere with the children.
So another belly up pass here. We'll get a nice view of the undersides of this aircraft, and look at their formation spacing, ladies and gents. That's pretty tight.
Flying in from Falcon 2 position today is Flight Lieutenant Edward Drain. So what they're doing now is that as they transition out of the kite, they're moving into the lunar formation. And if we have a look, it's got Falcon 1 leading with the other 4 aircraft in a box. This is to represent or pay homage to the lunar landing module. We'll call the break and the team will break out.
I think this requires a special voice. The detonator break. Nice. Very nice.
So what's happened now is for an opposition break just as they look to meet. So now they're into a 4G turn. They'll pass through. And another great coming in from our crowd left. One has inverted, 2 is creating the mirror, and our Falcon 3 is circling around their smoke trails.
I absolutely love this formation, ladies and gents. We've actually up on the commentary stand as well, we've got with us Falcon 6, who flies the spare aircraft, because there always needs to be another one. AJ?
The RNZAF in 1987, and on completion of pilot training was posted to 3 Squadron. So he's one of 3 members of our display team from 3 Squadron with rotary background. So as a helicopter crewman or loadmaster now, that's particularly pleasing from my point of view. And I want a big shout out to the 3 Squadron team down at the far end with A109. It's good to see as best and equal separation as they can as they follow each other around through a barrel roll.
So tail chase, chasing each other's tails. What's the purpose of that? Why do we train that? I'm going to go and talk to AJ about this one because he actually teaches this.
Fighters we use to chase the adversary aircraft in dogfight.
So preparation for dogfighting. And as we were talking about, trying to keep that spacing the same is really essential here. But you can kind of get left behind if you're on the back end of that tail chase. And so we use what's called lead and lag. So you can try and point your nose closer to the aircraft in front of you to try and catch them up. Or you can just dip your nose away from them to give you a bit.
Conduct another synchronised manoeuvre where they cross. Some good photo opportunities there. And it was also a 3 Squadron. The formation Pelicans just come over the top again. They're going to conduct the Pelican gyroscope.
So it actually takes them to their day job, right?
100%. So this is definitely a secondary or even a tertiary job for some of the individuals on the team. And like you were saying before, Kate, we recognise the importance of our contribution to the relief efforts across the country and the continent, supporting our nation versus life. And during some of the instructor courses, going away with them, and it is a great aircraft to fly.
So not only do we use this aircraft to train our pilots, but we also train our flying instructors on it as well.
That's correct. So our other member that I need to mention is Falcon 7, which is our videographer, or Falcon 8, sorry, our videographer, Flight Sergeant Dave Snowden.
Cameras at the ready.
Gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the RNZAF Black Falcons, on behalf of Squad Leader Stu Anderson and the team and myself, I hope you enjoyed our display and enjoy the rest of your day.
40 Squadron at RNZAF Base Auckland today. Captain Squad Leader Kit Dooley, the co-pilot Flight Lieutenant Seth Fagan, the navigator Flight Lieutenant Sam Morris, Sergeant Andy McLaughlin, Air Engineer, and 2 loadies, Flight Sergeant Callie Lucas and Sergeant Nick Morse. I love that sound. Okay, so that first pass has come through and they will be now positioning for what is known as a 6-into-3 approach into quite a steep nose attitude. The aim of that is to keep the aircraft as high as possible for as long as possible so you're out of that small arms fire or any of the combative stuff on the ground that might be trying to stop you from landing. Okay, so pitching up. Now to position for that. So the 6-into-3 approach refers to the degrees of angle in the glide path. A 6-degree glide path is quite nose down. Now the next part of this will depend on the wind strength, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to achieve a touch and go here. But if that's not possible due to the amount of wind on the nose or the amount of runway available, then it will be a long approach and go round. Beautiful, lovely little touchdown there, and off they go again. Now, some of you may have seen the C-130 display where we actually land off that manoeuvre and then throw all 4 of those engines into full reverse. That's full noise for us. And you'll see how quickly the Hercules can come to a halt if it needs to. And that makes it such an incredibly adaptable aircraft. It can land on all sorts of different surfaces, from snow, ice, packed coral, which sometimes we have to do out in the Pacific Islands, or small paddocks. So you can get it in there, you can throw it at the ground. Those big tyres are absolutely forgiving. And if you put all 4 engines into reverse and use the anti-skid system in the brakes, then you can come to a nice sharp stop. Okay, so this will be the last pass now from the C-130 today, so right to left. While they're running in for it, I'll ask my next competition question. During the Black Falcons display, we talked about the lunar formation shape. What is that formation named after, boys and girls? 300 knots, 100 feet, climbing pass. And ladies and gents, if you can put your hands together and give a big round of applause for the C-130H model of number 40 Squadron.
us.